Hello world, it's Zilla. It's Mr. Bring You the Scripture, so you can see the bigger picture. All right, we're going to jump back into the Gospel of John, chapter 19, starting at verse 25. Behold your mother. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother, and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother, and the disciple whom he loved standing by, he said to his mother, Woman, behold your son. Then he said to the disciple, Behold your mother. And from that hour the disciple took her to his own home. It is finished. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, said, I thirst. Now a vessel full of sour wine was sitting there, and they filled a sponge full with sour wine, put it on a hyssop, and put it to his mouth. So when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, It is finished. And bowing his head, he gave up his spirit. Jesus' side is pierced. Therefore, because it was the preparation day, that the bodies should not remain on the cross on the Sabbath, for the Sabbath was a high day, the Jews asked Pilate that their legs might be broken, and that they might be taken away. Then the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and of the other who was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and immediately blood and water came out. And he who has seen has testified, and his testimony is true, and he knows that he is telling the truth, so that you may believe. For these things were done that the scripture should be fulfilled. Not one of his bones shall be broken. And again, another scripture says, They shall look on him whom they pierced. Let's read what the Bible ties to what we just read. The day of his death. Many people have been confused concerning the day of the death of Jesus. We know it was the day before the Sabbath, because the Jews wanted to get him off the cross before the Sabbath. So traditionally, people have believed that Jesus died on Friday afternoon, but he had said he would be dead for 3 days and 3 nights. We know he rose on the Sunday morning, so that would only be 2 nights. Several explanations have been offered, but this passage here gives us a possible clue. John tells us the Sabbath was a high day. The day after Passover was the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread was always considered a high Sabbath. No matter what day of the week it fell on, it was a special Sabbath day. So I believe that Jesus was actually crucified on a Thursday, on the day of Passover, with the next Friday being the high Sabbath, the following day being the normal Saturday Sabbath, and the third day being the Easter Sunday, the day he rose from the dead. This makes 3 days and 3 nights. It also explains why his followers couldn't come to the tomb and anoint his body until 3 days later, as they couldn't do that on either Sabbath. We still celebrate the traditional Good Friday, but technically I believe it should be Good Thursday. You gotta love it when the Bible bangs it out like that, right? If this blesses you in any way, press the buttons, and if you want the rest of the chapter, stop the profile after, and we'll be back next time, right on time, to renew our minds, on time. Love you guys.